I'm Melissa.
And I'm Joy. And you're watching Off the Record. Hey, my name is Joy Wade. I'm an author, entrepreneur, and social media influencer. I actually got interested in YouTube when I was in middle school, so I was a typical middle school girl. I liked going on the internet, finding makeup tutorials. I didn't really find hair tutorials yet, but I saw tons of people doing things that I was like, hey, I kind of want to do that. So I started with my webcam on my parents' computer, and I made my first video. I started growing from there. I didn't really see that much growth when I started, but back then I wasn't really thinking about numbers. Influencers didn't make money like that, so that wasn't really a motivation. I was just doing something I was passionate about. And when I got into high school, I got really serious about my channel, so I was posting more regularly. I started seeing growth. I reached my first 10,000 subscribers around that point. I made advice videos, high school survival, just anything that came to my mind I was making. Around my senior year, I really started to get into my college application process, so naturally I was making videos about that. And once I got into USC, which is where I go now, I got tons of questions from students about how to get into college, how to get scholarships, and that's where I found another passion of mine in helping students get into college. So that led me to write my first book, which is called You Got Into Where, and it's basically a high school college admissions guide, and that's where that started. So it was a process to getting through YouTube, growing my channel, and starting You Got Into Where and writing that book. For my book, I decided that I wanted to self-publish, which basically means you don't go through a traditional publisher. I was 17 at the time, so I definitely wasn't getting a book deal. So I just went the self-publishing route. And also it was just a great way for me to experiment with, trying things out on my own. But as far as the writing process, because I already had a small audience, I could go off of the things that they wanted to know about to make sure I was making a product that they were gonna buy and that was gonna be helpful to them. Personal branding, I feel like, is such a concept that's thrown around, but it's also really important. You don't really see that many influencers that are talking about getting into college, but I combine that with my passion for lifestyle, for hair care, and all of that good stuff. And I always encourage people to kind of mix your passions with what works on your channel or your platform. So my audience is young Black girls, so I know that they care about their hair, but I also want them to care about their future. So I like to combine those two things because I know that they're in a pivotal time when you're about to go to college. You're caring about how you look and how you're presenting yourself, but you're also caring about getting an education or making money or starting your brand. So that's how I kind of figured out what my personal brand was. So I didn't really start working with companies for paid opportunities until last year. So that was about 5 years into my content creation. I'd worked with brands on kind of like free opportunities where they'll send you products and you post about it, but I wasn't really seeing any money come into that factor until last year. So the first brand that I worked with on a paid opportunity was As I Am, which is a hair care brand. And they reached out to me and said that they wanted to do some social media stuff and YouTube stuff, and I was really excited. So the way that I currently present myself to brands is usually most of my opportunities get emailed to me. So definitely having my email readily available so people can contact me. If you're interested in working with brands per se, if you're interested in being an influencer, I'd say that a lot of people are starting out and expecting to do that within months, a year of starting their brand. So I'd say that if that's what you're expecting, then maybe going into this field isn't right for you, just because everyone's journey is different. The people that you see who start and then have hundreds of thousands of followers within a short time of starting, they're just a small percentage. A lot of people are out here for the long term, even Jackie Aina, who's a popular YouTuber. She's popular now and people are like all about her, but they don't know that it took her 5 years to get to 100,000 subscribers. So just know that even the people that you see are big now, they definitely have stories behind them. So I'm like, I don't know what can happen. My growth, like I said, like in the past year and a half, I've grown over 50,000 people. Like I couldn't predict that or expect that to happen. I usually don't hop on things right away, but I spend a lot of time on the back end, behind the scenes, planning out what I'm trying to do. So for example, my book, I had to do tons of research. Google is your best friend whenever you want to do something. Research on finding out how to get something published, how should you write it, how should you get an editor. Definitely get feedback before you go and like make a product. If you have a goal, I would say always try to work to finish it. Just because you're gonna feel a lot better about yourself, you're gonna learn a lot from the experience. I never encourage people, if they're getting frustrated, to kind of stop what they're doing. You can always take breaks, but I would say kind of follow through, just because that experience is gonna mean way more to you on the back end. That was my first book. Obviously, it probably wasn't the best book that I'm gonna write. I definitely have other ideas, and from that experience I've learned so much, so the next time I do a book or do a project, I kind of know the mistakes I made and what not to do the next time. So I always do my priorities first. So if I have a project that has a deadline, I'm always trying to get that done first. If I have schoolwork that has a deadline, I have to get that done. And from there, I do tons of checklists. I use my iPhone calendar with reminders. I have a paper planner. I have notebooks. I go through notebooks like nobody's business, because I always am writing down my goals and the steps that I have left to get there, just because it keeps my mind on track. And that's something that I do every day, sometimes even twice a day, just because I'm crazy like that. But people always ask me, how do you actually get done the things you say you're gonna do? And that's how I get it done.
Where do you see yourself and your brand in 10 years?
In 10 years, I want to be a millionaire and I want to have a couple of books out, and I also want to continue traveling and doing the things I love. One time that I failed is interesting. It's in relation to my work with brands and my YouTube channel. So I was talking to a brand and they wanted to do a partnership for a couple of months, and it was going to be the most money that I've ever made from a partnership. And eventually the deal fell through and it didn't happen, and I was kind of upset because I was like, you reached out to me, but you can't, like, why can't it like go through? Because things with negotiations fell through. I thought that I deserve more money, because when you get like a brand deal that's kind of long, they give you like how many things you're going to be doing each month, and then if you kind of think about how much you're charging and you have 4 things to do that month, what they're offering was kind of less than if I just did 4 individual things. You're gonna have things that you think are gonna happen but that are gonna fall through, but you just can't get too upset about it. I know that other opportunities will come. Money is abundant. You just have to find how you're gonna slide and get that coin. There's space for everyone, so just because one thing falls through doesn't mean your life is over. I'm Joy Wade, and this is Off the Record.